Hello YouTube, this is Travis Dunn with MDL. This is my vlog for March 16th, 2015. Now as you can tell, this is not my car, and unfortunately with the time change last weekend, it made doing a vlog pretty much impossible. It was completely dark on my way home from work on Saturday. And with my crazy weekend, and I'll talk about that a little bit, I was not able to do a video until today on Monday. Now, talking about the weather, up until just the last day or so, the weather has been obviously very crappy, and I talked about that in my previous video. But it is improving. We have seen 40s and 50s. I think we finally hit the mid 60s, low 70 today here in Ohio, and I'm definitely looking forward to warmer weather. This winter has been brutal. This weekend wrapped up my daughter's troops cookie sales. If you've got a girl in Girl Scouts, or I'm sure you've seen them run around your big box store trying to sell you cookies, it's been a rough season for them. We didn't quite sell what we wanted. We were shooting for 5,000 boxes, and I know that sounds like a lot, and it is. But when you take into consideration what the girls actually earn per box, which averages somewhere between 60 and 70 cents a box, and it definitely, you need a lot of quantity to really earn for the year. So the girls sold about 4,300 to 4,500 boxes, and they'll definitely earn enough to do their activities for the summer. And a lot of people don't realize Girl Scouts is not cheap. The art supplies, the badges, and all the books and fees and all that you got to pay to maintain a troop is just unphenomenally large amount of money. Almost every time my wife's a leader, I volunteer, so obviously I'm involved. We go into to order badges, and they're $200 or $300 at a time when we get them. So that adds up over the course of the year, considering you're doing that about every 2 months. And we only have a troop of about 15 girls. So not a huge troop. Not as big as it was last year. We did over 6,000 boxes last year, but it was a bigger troop, and the weather was more favorable. This year, I mean, we've had to cancel a few booths. We've managed to, add a few, but it was a rough selling season. And we definitely saw that all the way around, and I'm sure reports of cookie sales being down, if you follow that type of thing, are pretty well true. Towards the end here, getting certain types of cookies have been very difficult. Last year, we pretty much could have got anything we wanted. They were pretty much giving them away. And this year, we just couldn't seem to get the cookies we wanted. It was a scramble. So we were trading troops for this, that, and the other, and trying to keep in stock. But this weekend we finally did sell out, and even though we got about a week or two left in the official selling season, we are not going to even attempt to get any more cookies. It's just we're all burnt out. And for the parents that's been there pretty much every weekend, every booth sale, me and the wife work 50, 60 hours a week at our day jobs, and then turn around doing 20 or 30 hours of booth sales. Is really rough. And like I said, we're all burnt out. We've been doing this for 6 or 8 weeks now, and we're pretty well done. But I will say, for those people that see troops setting out trying to sell Girl Scout cookies, even if you're not interested in Girl Scout cookies, but you want to donate to a troop, feel free to donate. They do take donations. Sometimes they'll go to local food banks. Sometimes they will go to troops. Every troop is different as far as what their specialty, and then some monies will go to the troop itself. So even if you're not interested in Girl Scout cookies, if you're interested in helping out a troop, please do so. The money does go well used. And so we've, as a troop, over the past 5 years, and my daughter's been at Girl Scouts, and we've been places We've been to COSI. We've been to the zoo. We've done a couple of water parks. We've been to an air museum. And that's just an example of some of the fun things that the girls have got to do over the summer. Some are educational, some are just for fun. Actually, even before we went to one of the water parks, we had several girls that didn't know how to swim, didn't really like the water. So it was kind of an experience to work with them and help them get past their fears and whatnot. And the girls had fun, and this year should be no different. Like I said, we were a little shy from where we wanted to be, but we should still be able to have some fun for the summer. And I'm sure I'll do some videos and pictures and stuff of different activities that the girls are doing. And pretty much the other thing I wanted to talk about was PC upgrades. Recently, I've been doing a slew of my yearly PC upgrades, and anybody that knows me, which obviously if you're watching this, you'll get to know me. I spend $300 to $500 a year, roughly every year, on some type of PC upgrade. Last year, I upgraded to an i5 4670. This year, I upgraded my video card, which I upgraded from this beast. Try to focus in just a little bit. This is an Asus GTX 560 Ti 448 core. Now, this is a little bit different than what most people would know. This was a special edition card. This did cost me over $300 just a few years ago. Obviously, it's about 3 generations old, and it definitely a beast of a card. It's very large. I think it's about 12.5 inches, if I remember correctly. It will not fit in a lot of cases, which is the only reason why it's not my son's machine right now. So I'm in the process of trying to decide how I want to handle that. I want to upgrade his personal machine, his gaming machine, which has got a GTX 460 in it. This was basically a slightly dumbed down version of the GTX 570, which is partly why, price-wise, this was so expensive. The other part of it was the fact that obviously you see the build quality. You do see that it takes up 3 slots in the case. So made SLI, even though you can see it is set up for SLI, made SLI very difficult. Most of the time in most motherboard situations, you put one of these. If you did get another one, which I can tell you these were kind of hard to come by, if you did get another one, it would more than likely put it in a 4X slot, 16X slot, versus running them into 8X. So not necessarily fully practical as an SLI card. But as a single card, this was great. I got high frame rates. I had no problem playing games. Crysis, pretty much 1080p, maxed out. Even now, the newest Borderlands still got 45 to 60 frames per second. And still a solid game card. I probably will not be getting rid of this. Probably be modifying my son's case to fit. But it was time for an upgrade. So I upgraded to a Gigabyte GTX 960. Great card, especially for $200. I can tell you, Borderlands, the pre-sequel, doubled my frame rate. So 45 to 60, I was getting pretty much 110 to 120 frames per second consistently with that game at 1080p. I do have dual monitors, but I don't run SLI. I may eventually get into that I may actually do that with a set of 960s this year. Haven't quite decided yet. But, I only run 1080p. I just haven't forked out the kind of money for a higher end monitor. But I'm looking forward to enjoying the 960 and doing some gaming this year. I also upgraded from a stock cooler. I had it over my processor overclocked to 4 gigahertz, even on stock cooler. It seemed to run okay. But I upgraded to a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. You know, if you've seen the reviews on this card or this CPU cooler gets great reviews, and I will definitely recommend it as an air-cooled option if you have the case that will support it. This is a really tall CPU fan. You know, I have a Cooler Master HAF XB Evo, which is a lot to say. And it's pure coincidence that all this is Cooler Master. It's not that I'm a Cooler Master super fan. They just happen to have what I'm looking for at the right price. I paid $30 or $35 for this, and at full 100% tilt, it dropped almost 20 degrees Celsius off my CPU temps. So right now it's overclocked to 4.2. I did have it running at 4.4 for a while, but part of this whole thing was I wanted a little bit quieter machine, so I got the fans kind of cranked down. So 4.4 gave me a really jumpy CPU temp. It didn't take much for it to jump 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, and it was kind of clunky. I didn't like it, so I definitely recommend this cooler if you have the space. The T4 is a little shorter, but just about the same design. You may want to check that out if space is an issue. Certainly, I certainly like it. It fits in my case, like I said. But that case I have is pretty well monster. I actually sort of did a unboxing video. However, when I went to go and install it, it's a little bit of a pain to install with the back plate and where everything is. In my case, it happened to be right where the power supply is. I had to yank it out, and it just wouldn't have made a very good video. It didn't make a very good video, to be honest. It was difficult to see. I don't have the perfect lighting setup yet. As I've said before, you know, I'm doing this as a personal, thing or whatever, and eventually, which is something I'm going to talk about here in a second, I'm going to do a regular YouTube channel. I'm going to get lighting. I'm working on some audio, which obviously you see here. The quality of my videos are going to get better. I'm learning how to edit video. That's been a big thing. Audio, excuse me. Audio, of course, has been something I've been working on. So look out for that. Me and a friend, we're in the planning stages for an actual another channel. We're gonna do gaming, tech, cars. We may even do some political stuff. I don't know just yet, and I say political kind of loosely, but we'll talk about current events. We'll talk about all kinds of different stuff, and so I will officially announce that when that comes. Like I said, we haven't even picked a name yet. We're still working on that, and like I said, I'm still learning how to edit videos. I'm learning Adobe Premiere. I will say Adobe Premiere is not the most intuitive program you will ever learn to use, but professionals all use it, and there's not a ton of other options. There are other options, but not that does as much as you can do with Adobe Premiere. And I happen to have I have a copy that I purchased as an open box, so that's what I'm going to learn on. I'm gonna fuss through it. As far as PC upgrades, finishing that story out. I also upgraded to a OCZ ARC 100 240 gigabyte SSD. Cost me about $100. I also upgraded some fans, some Cooler Master fans, which, like I said, just purely happened to be it was the right size, it was 120 millimeter, had the blue light, LED light, which is what I wanted for my case. Had, as long as you're not running them at max speed, they're a fairly quiet fan. Now, speaking of quiet fans and running at max speed, for whatever reason, I have four CPU fan headers and 3 seem to allow me to adjust the fan speeds. But the last one, for whatever reason, I actually no, I got 5. I got 5 total fan headers, and the last 2 will not let me adjust the fan speed whatsoever. So I have one fan running at 1800 RPM, which is close to max, and I've got the other 2 cranked down to about half that. And so the other 2, the other actually 3 fans, the CPU fan and 2 front fans, are really quiet. You hardly hear anything, and then the back fan is really noisy. In fact, I will have to edit the background audio out because it is so noisy. But part of the discussion with upgrading also goes with, letting your friends help you upgrade your PC. Now, I have a friend. He is actually the one that is going to be doing a YouTube channel with me. He's definitely not a rich guy. I mean, I make good money. Me and my wife make good money. But he struggles, and he's on disability. He actually, for those who know what dialysis is, he basically gets all his blood run through a machine 3 times a week. And he's a good guy. He's one of those guys, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. And it's never been a situation that he didn't want to work. Trust me, he just can't. And should anything ever happen to what is known as a fistula, which is where they take the blood from, it could kill him. And that's an unfortunate thing that he has to deal with. But needless to say, money's tight, and he doesn't get to upgrade his computer like I do, and he does get some of my hand-me-downs, which he's always grateful for, because I get really good stuff. But in this case, he managed to scrounge up the money and got a new motherboard, processor, RAM. In fact, he got a little bit lower i5 than the one I'm using. It's the I have the unlocked version of the 4670. I think he's got a 4560. Gosh, why is that number not coming to me? But anyway, he's got an i5, still great processor. I was able to overclock it just a little bit to 3.7. He got 8 gigabytes of RAM, and a real nice motherboard. Now I helped him build quite a few of his machines and put them together. He's still a little fussy with the hardware. He's a little nervous, and rightfully so. I understand why he would be nervous. But he had his roommate help him try to put it together. And nothing against his roommate, but his roommate is a little clumsy and a little clunky. And he made a very huge error. In fact, it's an error that is such an error that there is a little plastic cover on the CPU. Anyway, so anybody that knows on the Intel processors, there is a little plastic cover that specifically says on it, do not remove until you're ready to install the CPU. On all these LGA 775 and newer chips, they changed things up. Instead of putting the pins on the chip, pointing down into a socket, the socket has all the pins, and the processors have little pads that the pin sticks to. And the cover specifically says, do not remove until you're ready to put the processor in. Well, they were fiddling with it. Apparently somewhere it fell out. Nobody thought to put it back in, and he apparently stuck his finger in and bent a couple of pins on the motherboard. Let me tell you, it was not a cheap motherboard. I actually bought the motherboard a while back for him as a gift, to start his next PC upgrade. I got it at a really good price, so yeah, he was a little upset, to say the least. Now the friend did step up. He did replace the board, but my friend brought the machine to me this time and had me put it together. And for anybody that does PC upgrades or does their own machines, I always, with these Intel boards, I pull the board out of the box, I put the chip in, I put the heat sink with the thermal paste, and I put the memory in the board before I even put it into the case. And I do that for many reasons. One, sometimes, especially with the fan and stuff, it's hard to do that when it's sideways and kind of tucked into a case. So, and I always want to make sure especially with a stock fan that's got those funky clips, and anybody knows they're a pain. To make sure they're locked in properly, I always like to do it outside the box. Now, you do need to be careful. The board is a little flimsy and it will bend, and you can break them. I've seen people He-Man instead of ram in and break a board. So, be careful, but it's something that anybody can do. So I put it together, put it back in the machine, half an hour, we had it all up and running, and everything was good. But yeah, like I said, the friend, I'm sure, was not real happy about having to go out and buy a board. But in the same boat, if you have a friend that is going to put together your machine, make sure that it is you break it, you bought it policy. That is always my policy whenever I build anybody's machine. If I break it, I will replace it. I'm just that kind of person. That's the way I grew up. And I don't know. I've only had to do that one time in my entire life, and it was something small, so thank goodness it wasn't anything expensive. But even if it was something more expensive, I would still replace it. And so just be careful, take your time when you build a machine. Make sure your fingers don't get anywhere near that socket. Make sure that cover stays on until you put the processor in. I highly suggest before you start fiddling with the board, put the processor in to cover up those pins. Because once you bend them, once in 99% of the time, the board is done. Those pins are paper thin, even probably smaller than paper thin. And they just are not, not something that is easy to fix. And more likely, if you try to bend them back, you're going to just break them off. They are that thin. And so, take your time, do it right, watch some videos. There may be a point where I do some videos on doing a full build. It'll probably be my son's machine, which is actually behind me on the floor, hooked up to the very large TV that you can, well, I always have to look opposite, but it's over here. It's 50-inch. So when I'm gaming, I'm sitting here at my desk, and he's sitting over there on the bed playing on that. Obviously, I don't put it in his room, because if I put it in his room, he'll be up till 4 in the morning playing something. So yeah, like I said, my friend, he's happy though. He's got a real nice upgrade. He's got an AMD, I want to say it's a 7950 video card. And it's a solid card. It runs real close to my 560 Ti 448. So there's definitely no complaints there. But I will say, pick and choose your builder wisely. And but that's where I'm going to leave it here today. We're going to try to do some other videos talking about some different tech things that happened this week. So look forward to that. Hopefully next week, probably, I have a feeling next week I'll run into the same situation. If I do, I'll do a video at home. I'm sure the audio is probably a whole lot better. So, for now, have fun. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you.